She said it again that night. I'm just tired, like it was her sacred shield. Third night in a row. Fourth week running. I nodded, killed the lamp, and rolled over in silence, eyes wide open in the dark. I wasn't angry. Not yet. But something was off, and it had been for a while. It started with the little shifts. Cold feet that no longer reached for mine under the sheets. The way she started locking her phone screen like it held nuclear launch codes. And the makeup that stayed on a little longer before bed. At first, I chalked it up to stress. Her work as a therapist had been draining lately, or so she said. Back-to-back sessions, new clients, long drives out to the clinic. I made excuses because that's what you do when you still want to believe. Then came the numbers. I checked finances weekly, a habit drilled into me after a failed startup years ago. One Saturday morning over coffee, I noticed a $42 charge from a hotel downtown, just a couple miles from our place. I asked her about it casually. She barely flinched. Said it was a lunch meeting with an old friend from grad school who happened to be in town. They wanted privacy to talk. Nothing weird, she said. I wanted to believe her. So I did. But that night, I pulled the hotel's records. I know people. I still have contacts. The room had been booked from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. And it wasn't lunch they were charging for. Still, I didn't confront her. I went cold instead, quiet and calculating. I changed the locks on my instincts. I watched, listened, waited. One night, I pretended to be asleep. She'd just given me the usual line. I'm exhausted, babe. Tomorrow okay? She kissed my shoulder, turned her back, and pulled the blanket tight like it was armor. I laid still. 30 minutes passed. Then an hour. At 2:03 a.m., I heard the familiar ping. Her phone. She didn't check it immediately. That's what caught my attention. She waited. Slowly slid out of bed like she was trying not to wake a child. I cracked one eye open, barely. She crept to the hallway and disappeared into the office. I gave it 5 minutes, then followed, barefoot, silent, like I used to be back in the army. The office door was cracked. I saw her silhouette, hunched forward, face lit by the phone screen. Her fingers were flying. I stepped back, returned to bed. The next morning, I kissed her forehead like always, poured her coffee, asked about her sleep. She yawned, said something about a nightmare, and waking up to read for a bit. No mention of the texts. 2 days later, I installed keylogging software on our shared desktop. She rarely used it, but when she did, she logged into the same messaging platform I'd seen glowing in her hand that night. The password was weak. Her dog's name and a year. Pathetic. I was in within 10 minutes. What I found didn't surprise me. Not really. But it did sting. The thread was labeled D. Just the letter. The messages went back months. Hundreds of them. And they weren't shy. Not emotional confessions or longing poems. They were precise. Clinical. Thursday again. Same place? Can't wait. I'll park in the back. Bring the charger this time. You sure he won't be home? I took screenshots. Every single one. Printed them. Filed them. I didn't rage. Didn't cry. I started shifting assets. She didn't notice the withdrawals, just a few thousand here and there. Moved to a brokerage account under a trust I'd created 6 years ago when we were trying for our second kid. I hired a private investigator, not to confirm what I already knew, but to gather the kind of evidence courts respect: video, timestamps, physical locations. Within a week, I had footage. Her and Daniel Graham, another therapist, married with 2 daughters, entering the same hotel I'd spotted on our credit statement. Same room block. Every Thursday. It was methodical, almost professional, like they'd trained for it. And maybe they had. I confronted her the following Sunday. Pancakes were still warm. I slid the folder across the table without saying a word. She opened it, saw the photos, the logs, the messages. She didn't cry, didn't scream. She just whispered, "I didn't want to hurt you." I nodded, took a bite of pancake. Syrup tasted like battery acid. "You didn't," I said. "You just made a mistake." She blinked, confused. "You're not mad." "No," I said. "I'm not mad." But I was already gone. The man she married? He didn't exist anymore. She'd buried him under hotel receipts and 2 a.m. whispers. What came next wasn't rage. It was structure. I wasn't looking for confrontation. I was planning for closure. And I don't mean the emotional kind. I mean the kind that takes your house, your reputation, and the ground you thought you stood on. She moved out the following weekend. Took her clothes, her skincare fridge, half the kitchen utensils, and a photo album from our honeymoon in Belize. Left the wedding photo. Didn't even pack it, just laid it face down on the mantel like it was ashamed of itself. We didn't fight. There was nothing left to say. She offered a half apology, something about being lost, needing space, not knowing how to ask for what she needed. I nodded again, said I understood. She cried in the driveway. I watched through the blinds. But I wasn't idle. 2 days later, my attorney filed the divorce papers, irreconcilable differences, uncontested. That was the story on record. Clean, quiet, sterile. But behind the scenes, I was already 3 moves deep into a strategy that didn't end with paperwork. Her job wasn't as secure as she thought. The affair? It wasn't just a moral failure. It was an ethical violation. Daniel Graham was technically her subordinate at the clinic. Same practice group. Same board. I sent the documentation, timelines, text excerpts, hotel confirmations, to their HR director, anonymously. By the following Friday, Daniel was suspended pending investigation. 2 weeks later, he was out. Personal reasons, they said in the memo. But his face told a different story. The clinic didn't fire her. Not immediately. But the whispers started. Referrals dried up. A couple pulled out of treatment midway. Her hours got slashed. By mid-month, she was contract only. I knew because I checked her professional email. She never changed her login credentials. That was her fatal flaw. She never thought I'd go that far. She thought I'd accept it. Fade. Lick my wounds and disappear. But I didn't disappear. I reappeared. Precisely. Her new apartment was in a mid-rise complex downtown, modest, affordable, corporate beige walls, and thin carpets. I knew the property manager. I called in a favor. Not to get in, just to monitor. I needed to know who came, who left, how often. I wasn't looking for more betrayal. I was building a timeline. You see, she didn't just lie. She used me. Every therapy seminar, funded by my business. Every conference trip, booked under my travel points. Her private practice LLC, I built it from scratch, filed it, financed it, got her licensed, branded, advertised. And when she cheated, she didn't just hurt me. She used my name, my time, my capital, and turned it into something that served someone else. So I took it back. My lawyer sent a cease and desist regarding her use of the business name. I still owned the domain, the branding, the trade registration. She ignored it at first. Bad move. The next week, my IT contractor redirected her website traffic to a single static page. Business temporarily closed for rebranding. No warning. No explanation. She called me, voice trembling. I didn't answer. Instead, I served her with an invoice, back-billed for unpaid design, hosting, advertising, and equipment rentals. All itemized. All real. She laughed when she read it. Laughed like I'd lost it. Until my attorney filed a lien against her new practice account. That's when the laughter stopped. She called again, this time crying. Left a voicemail that started as angry, morphed into apologetic, then fell apart into sobbing silence. I kept it. Evidence of emotional instability. Just in case. Daniel tried to call me too. Left a message asking if we could clear the air. Said he was willing to apologize, man to man. I didn't respond. Instead, I sent a copy of the hotel footage to his wife. No note. No explanation. Just a USB drive in an envelope, mailed discreetly through a third-party courier. She filed for divorce within a week. Took the kids, the house, and half his savings. Then she posted the story, anonymously, but with enough detail, on a popular therapy watchdog site. His name was toast in the industry before the ink on the settlement dried. By then, my ex had started seeing a therapist. Not Daniel, obviously. A real one. She posted vague quotes on social media about healing, self-forgiveness, rebuilding. Her captions smelled like desperation. I didn't like any of them. I wasn't watching out of nostalgia. I was watching out of curiosity. How long until the facade cracked? It didn't take long. She reached out again. Not by call. In person. Showed up outside my building one evening, standing by the curb in a raincoat. She looked thinner. Tired. Nothing like the woman who used to turn heads at faculty dinners. I stepped outside but didn't invite her in. You win, she said. Is that what you wanted? I looked at her a long time. Not angry. Not bitter. Just clear. This was never about winning, I said. It was about balance. She looked down. Her eyes rimmed red. You really loved me, didn't you? I nodded once. Enough to let you walk away clean. You chose to bleed on the way out. She didn't reply, just turned and walked down the street, shoulders hunched under the drizzle. I didn't follow. A month after that last conversation, I received a legal notice. Her attorney claiming emotional distress, financial hardship, and improper seizure of assets. A bluff. I knew it the second I read the phrasing. She couldn't afford a real case, let alone prove malice. Still, I forwarded it to my legal team. They responded with a 32-page counterbrief detailing every dollar, every transfer, every receipt bearing her signature. We included the messages, the surveillance logs, the contracts I'd terminated with cause. Just to be thorough, we added the post-nup she signed back in 2020, giving me full authority over joint holdings if either party was caught engaging in an extramarital affair. She dropped the claim within a week. No apology, just silence. I didn't hear from her again until spring. She emailed me from a new account. Subject line: closure. No attachments. Just a block of text asking to meet. 1 hour. 1 coffee. That's all I'm asking. I didn't answer. Instead, I watched from across the street as she sat alone at the cafe she picked. Thursday at 10 a.m., right on time. Her hair was pulled back like it used to be in the early years, when things were still honest. She kept checking her phone, then the door. I never walked in. I wasn't looking for closure. I already had it. By then, I was living in a new apartment, top floor, clean lines, no shared memories. I deleted every trace of her from my devices. My business had doubled. I'd partnered with a financial forensics firm, quietly offering services to men in similar situations. Asset recovery, legal strategy, digital evidence capture. Nothing shady. Just smarter than the lies people build their lives on. I didn't need revenge anymore. What I had was better. Control. Not over her, but over my own future. My decisions. My energy. My time. Sometimes I still get questions. Friends asking if I'm bitter. If I still think about her. I do. Occasionally. But it's more like remembering a scar than a person. She taught me something no degree ever could. Betrayal isn't loud. It's slow. Surgical. It chips away until there's nothing left to recognize in the mirror. She thought I'd crumble. Thought, I'm just tired, was enough to keep me guessing. She underestimated the man who spent years building her dream life from scratch. The man who watched every lie unfold without blinking. The man who, when pushed, didn't explode. He disappeared, then rebuilt. Quietly. Precisely. So when people ask me if I've forgiven her, I say this. There's nothing left to forgive. She already got her punishment. She's still tired. Only now, there's no one left to blame.